everybody, welcome back. We're gonna pretend that the seascape just didn't happen, and now we're gonna do something that might be interesting. It's something that I've wanted to do for a couple episodes, but never really found the time to do it, but I just kind of remembered right now that I want to do it. So, when I was a kid, we had a Windows 3.1 computer with a really old version of MS Paint. And what I always did was I drew golf courses. Let me recreate as accurately as I can remember what these golf courses that I had made in MS Paint, what exactly they looked like here. So this is going to be me attempting to do child art of mine. So normally, I actually instinctively reached for the shading to put on the golf ball. I mean, okay, if you can't tell that I just put down the golf ball, then that's on you, not on me. I was gonna shade it, but then I remembered, no, there was no shading back in those days. Okay, we'll take the line tool here, and we're gonna make the other very important part of the golf course, which was the hole. So that's already done. And now we need to add in the flag, which, if I remember, I would do something like this. All right. I'm using the line tool because I need to try and get this line as straight as possible, because in MS Paint you get the line tool, but I don't get such luxuries in Passpartout. So I would draw something that kind of looked like this, if I remember. Let's go ahead and fill that in. And then I need to, I would always put like a number on it. Let me try to recreate what my handwriting looked like as a kid. I think that's fairly accurate. Alright, so those are kind of the basic elements. I mean, this is almost like a Picasso if you look at it, right? Like, you're just like, wow, it's all the most important elements of golf. I mean, it was truly the height of art. Let me tell you, as a kid, I did not settle for this. Oh, no. You know what else I had? Motherfucking sand traps. Boom. Now, you may be wondering, Bird, why is there a sand trap in the middle of the green? This is the most hardcore golf course you have ever seen in your life, okay? And you wanna know why I say that? Because there's also motherfucking water hazard down here too. Oh yeah, you thought you were safe getting past the sand trap over here? Oh hell no! There was still the death trap of the water hazard over here. So that's what that's the sort of stuff that I did. I don't really remember if I did anything else. There weren't any people in the golf courses that I made. It was just literally like, well, here's the bunker, and there's the water hazard, and you want to know how many of these things I made? I would make like 10 of these drawings a day. And it would just be like, oh, the golf ball's in the upper left corner. I'm going to put it in the upper right corner instead. Like, it was just, like, almost worrisome. Anyway, so there you go. That was kind of like what I would make. I think if I had the spare time, I probably also would have thrown in, like, multiple golf balls, because you don't ever play golf by yourself. And then I would try to work really hard to try and make sure that they have all the golf balls were the same size. Oh my god, I just remembered another fun fact. So, here's the thing. I didn't care whether or not the golf balls actually were made using the circle tool. And I just now remembered this. My golf balls actually looked more like this. Because I didn't know how to use the filled circle tool. I only knew how to use the oval tool. I didn't even know how to turn it on circle mode. I just made it a fucking oval. So you see this like filled in black thing down here? This is actually more like what this would have looked like. It looked more like that. Because I would have... Okay, so what I would do is I'd take the rectangle tool, throw down all the green, and then do this sort of shit. So honestly, this probably also was made with the oval tool, now that I think about it. So yeah. Here's where it gets even more hilarious. So this is what it looked like in my head. I didn't own a colored printer when I was a kid. Because colored ink was really expensive, and colored printers were also really, really expensive. So my parents would buy me colored pieces of paper, and the only color I actually had when I would print these out was black. So in actuality, it looked more like this. So we had this, and we had this. Like, in MS Paint it had all the colors, but this is what it looked like when I actually printed these things out. So, something like that. You think, oh man, Bird, you're a pretty smart kid. You probably made, like, the one, like, stand out somehow when you printed it out, so it wasn't just all black ink. No, I didn't do anything like that. So that's more like what that looked like. Oh, and don't forget you little water hazard down here. Oh man, no, you were an oval too. So this is more like what it looked like when I printed it out on my printer that had no colored ink, and it only had black green pieces of paper that I printed on. Now here's another fun fact. I ran out of green paper. So I printed out like one of these on green paper. Well, okay, so I prioritized printing them out on green paper, but I ran out of that pretty fast, and my parents didn't buy me like, here's just an all ream of green paper. No, it was every color. So in actuality, I had a bunch of magenta paper. So it looked more like this. So we're gonna go ahead and just fill this fucking thing in with a bunch of magenta. Yeah, okay, we'll speed this up by doing this. Alright. So it really looked more like this when I printed it out. Yep. I would make like 10, 15 of these a day, and I'd print out only my favorites. So, I would only print out like one or two because my printer was always out of ink as well. So, in actuality, it looked more like this because our ink was always really fucking low. So, this is more like what it looked like. And that, my friends, is what my very first pieces of artwork when I was a kid looked like. Looks like a microscopic slide of bacteria. Yeah, I mean, that's what it was like being me. If you have any questions, I mean, AMA right now, you know, feel free just to ask me any questions about what it was like growing up with no goddamn paper and no colored ink and MS Paint. Oh God. Oh, man. So, let's put this away for right now. I'm going to tell you more weird-ass MS Paint 3.1 stories. So, the other thing I did a lot as a kid, actually, so, my dad was a cartographer for the government, and he had access to GIS software, which is what they use to, like, make maps, basically. It's like Geo something, I don't really remember. But we had a copy on our home computer of software called Atlas GIS. And what Atlas GIS let you do was you would get a picture of, like, the United States or, like, a city. So we'll just throw down the old US of A over here. So it kind of looks like, yeah. And then, yeah. So you get old USAE. Now, here's the thing. The GIS software will let you put down symbols on the map, of course, because that's what it was used for. The problem with the GIS software, or rather the best part of the GIS software, is that it had, like, your typical things, like you put down cities and shit like that. But it also came with, like, a unimaginably wide selection of symbols. So this is what I would do. First off, I would put down the United States Capitol, Washington, D.C., every single time. It kind of looked, let's see, first off, everything was in black and white. So, but of course I only had fucking magenta paper, so I did that. So, it kind of looked like the symbol for the Capitol is like, you know, you got like your star, basically. And, there you go. So, I would always put down, like, our nation's capital right over here. And then, in the GIS software, they had tanks and, like, airplanes and stuff. So, I would basically put down, like, a bunch of symbols of, like, airplanes, which were in this perspective, and then tanks, which were kind of, like, in this perspective. And I just fucking, like, destroyed the United States with, like, airplanes and tanks. Because tanks and airplanes are awesome. So I did that. And I just put them fucking everywhere. I would just put, like, 20 tanks down. Now, I, of course, did not stop there. Why would I stop there? So, the other thing is that my dad did a lot of work with bees. He was, like, specializing in, like, bee migratory patterns and stuff like that. So, he always talked about how, like, the Africanized honeybee was, like, a total dick. So, the tanks and the airplanes, they're not fighting America. I love America. No. They were fighting the bees. So I'd also put down a bunch of bee symbols everywhere. So it was just like this. All over the goddamn world. It was just ridiculous. Now, that's about as far as I remember of me playing with this software. The thing is, I was never supposed to use this software because this software, back in the day, having this advanced of a drawing program cost, like, you know, I think the license for this was like several hundred, if not thousands of dollars. GIS software is probably still like super duper expensive. But for a very, very brief moment in time, I got to make a bunch of maps of the United States engaged in a epic goddamn battle where the entire military was engaged in a fight for its life against bees to protect our nation's capital. And if that's not the most goddamn patriotic thing that you've ever heard of, then you can fuck the right off out of my chat and Twitch stream right now. So, in commemoration for my undying loyalty to this country and its people, we're gonna add in the nation's flag in the upper right corner over here. Man, you could practically pledge allegiance to a drawing this good. This is good shit. Cool. So those are some of the better random bird stories from when I was a little kid. I'm trying to remember if there was another one I was just thinking of, and I cannot for the life of me remember it. Oh, yeah. One last thing. So another thing that I remember from a kid when I was making art was should the flag be black and magenta? Yeah. There you go. Fucking da-na-na-na-na-na. Alright. So, the other thing I remember from when I was a kid was, I grew up in Maryland. Now, Lady Bird's already laughing at this story. So, she already pieced together flag plus Maryland. I want you all to go ahead and just look up the flag of Maryland right now. And just kind of look at it a little bit. And just take it all in for a second there. Now, as a kid in elementary school, you're always given assignments like you got to learn about like your state or whatever and where you're from. And part of those assignments is you got to learn what the flag of the state looks like. So part of learning what the flag of the state looks like is you got to learn how to draw the flag. Let me tell you, drawing the Maryland flag is fucking horrible. I don't know who designed this thing, but like, let me give you the best rendition that I could come up with when I was a little kid. Because I remember trying to do this. We're going to go ahead and erase the B and Florida and everything real quick. So, this was what I remember of my assignment to make the flag of Maryland. So, it's 4 quadrants. We got to about here. Okay. And this is what I ended up doing near as far as I can recollect. So it was something like I did that, and I did that, and then I did like that, and that. And then I did that and that because it was symmetric, and then I think I did something like that. So that's the lower right quadrant. And let me tell you, this took me a long time, right? Like this took me like a whole evening basically to try and do it. And then I asked my family for help, and then they were like, "Nah, yeah, you gotta try and do it yourself." And so I did with the next quadrant, which it's kind of like a burgundy color. So we'll accurately recreate that as best as I can here. So if I remember, my flag was something like this, and I think it was probably, yeah, this is how I remember it looking. So this part actually was okay. This part I did all right on. So I did something like that and that. Because I wasn't going to get like the intricate details like that thing happening over there. No. This came all the way through to that side. And then let's go ahead and just finish off my attempt here. So if I remember correctly, I wound up with something that looked like this. And I gave up on finishing out this part or whatever. So this was basically as far as I got. So I then did the upper left segment, and if I remember correctly, I just did like this part. And I think that was it. I think that this was as far as I got when I had to make the Maryland state flag when I was a little child. So people have heard me tell the story about the Maryland state flag before, and I've bitched about it before. But this is, I think, the first time I've ever actually gone into the most detail that I can possibly conjure up of why I hated this thing. And yeah, that's it. I guess since this is now being printed on magenta paper, we then need to give the accurate summation of what this looked like when I was done with it. So probably about that. So yeah, that's about all I can really remember for childhood stories. As a little bonus, I remember one time I had to try and write out, I was trying to make bubble letters, and I couldn't do it. You know, when you do bubble letters, you kind of, you make it like as small as possible or whatever. You know, I remember bees specifically. So you got like, that. It looks nice and good or whatever. It looks like a bubbly little bee. As a kid, I did not have the hand-eye coordination to cut out like bubble letters at all. So the bee, as far as I can remember, looked more like, let's see, more like, how do I accurately portray this? It was something like I cut into it from this side and then cut it out. I did the same thing here, and I couldn't do circles. I couldn't cut with with scissors in a circular shape, so they were kind of more like this. And yeah, there we are. So I kind of did a whole thing. I was trying to write out, like, I believe it was birthday or something, and all my bubble letters looked like that. And those are all the childhood memories that are coming up to my head right now. But I hoped that instead of artwork, you enjoyed a lot of like just really fucking random stories from when I was a little kid. I have a lot of them. But that should do. Let's see if anyone buys this one. We're gonna call this one B. So we have a critic over here. 4,000? We will sell it. Well, if you had told me that my childhood art would eventually allow me to make $4,000 on a single painting, then I would not believe you. But I guess I should have more faith in myself. Anyway, thanks for watching.